qualified. I feel like yesterday was what we were expecting on Saturday. Probably not as brutal as what it ended up being in that first half. Michelle, how are you feeling today after what we saw last night, where our goals actually matched our shots and things actually looked like they clicked?
Yeah, much better. Still think that there's lots to improve on, which is really silly to say after a 10-0 win, but there's still a lot of work to be done there, I believe.
I mean, in hindsight, it was against Uzbekistan. We're not going to pull that off against Spain. If we do, I will swim naked down the Seine. And you can hold me to that.
No thanks.
Cody, Cody, how are you?
Josh, mate, you've got to sell things down there. You're going to get too many people excited, I reckon. No, I'm doing good. I thought it was a good game last night. Look, it got probably a bit sloppy towards the end, but when you're playing inferior opposition, I guess that does tend to happen. Spewing, actually, I missed the first 20 minutes because I had my own game. 1-7-2, if anyone cares. But
No.
well,
sorry, Cody, I do care.
But what I did get to see of it, which was the majority of the match, to be fair, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it wasn't just because we were winning by a lot and looked really good.
Look, I think it comes down to the team. Like, when that squad was announced, that starting 11, I was like, cool, this looks a lot better than what Saturday did. What was your reactions to seeing Torpy hold that starting role over Razzo? I think that was kind of the only surprise when I saw that. Definitely not a surprise now after the way she performed. But what was your reaction to seeing that she did hold that role in that starting 11, Michelle?
Are we talking about Torpy? Sorry, I spaced out.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's good.
Yeah, no, I think it's great, and I think it's very well deserved. And I think this game definitely proved it a lot more than her first game. I think she looked a lot more comfortable, I think. I don't know if that's because it's weather that she's probably more used to, or maybe just having gotten that, debut nerves out of the way in Uzbekistan. But I think, she definitely looked a lot more comfortable. Had that first shot for, a cross, it was looking to be a cross and then ended up being an own goal. And, that was just from her play. And I think, she helped a lot of those goals happen. So I think it's really good to see. And I think she's kind of cemented, well, maybe not cemented herself in the squad just yet, but I think a lot of people are now starting to see what Tony and the rest of the staff see.
Yeah, 100%. Cody, the other change that was made was Evie out, Heyman in, which wasn't that a solid choice and a half. Michelle Heyman, man, if she's not in the Olympic squad, I am going to riot because that was some hell of a performance. Yes, there were some kind of sloppy pickup goals, but it's that action in front of goal that we lacked during the first game that Michelle brought to that that upfront role. What were your thoughts there, Coates?
No, I think it's just more stylistic. You have a situation where the first game you try something a little bit different. You try and replace Senko with a false nine of sorts. Van Egmont, I think, unless you have someone like Mary Fowler playing next to her, she's probably not going to be able to lead the line on her own. It was clear as day in that game. I'm not saying she should have been benched or anything like that. And look, maybe some people would agree that she probably should have been, but it was if she was going to play, she needed to play a deeper role. And look, I don't know what you guys thought of her coming on in this game. I thought she was okay. I thought she was decent. It was funny enough, actually, because when she first came on, she misplaced that first pass she made. And I was sitting there going, oh my God, this is going to be another shocker. But I thought she worked her way into the game well. But from the start, having Michelle Heyman in there, a proper number 9, someone that can kind of feed off the scraps that we were creating in that match, is definitely an improvement. It was, like I said, stylistically, it's what we needed out of that match. It's not a knock on anyone or anything. It's just more you're catering to the needs of a football game. That's exactly what it was. What Tony needed. It was what was required of the squad. So yeah, I'm happy. And considering we're a nation where we've got 3 Matildas level strikers that are playing like out and out number nines that are actually playing regularly around the world in Sam Kerr, who's now injured, Michelle Heyman, and who did start that match, and Amy Sayer, who is only really just turning into a proper nine now. You know, we've got a shortage in that area, so Michelle Heyman coming in.
Yeah, 100%. I think one other thing I did notice, and we mentioned this about the first game as well, was kind of how KCC and Gori sometimes went a little quiet, and their kind of creativity was shut down in that first game. Wasn't the case this time. They were able to get on the ball and run and create some really good opportunities, which is good to see because there were moments in the World Cup as well where they were a little quiet and weren't able to create. And definitely things opened up here. So hopefully we see more of that as well. So overall, let's have a look at the game and then we'll look towards the future and Paris. Obviously 10 goals in front of a packed crowd at Marvel. Got to halftime and I was like, "Ooh, this could be really ugly." Like, and then we made all the subs and everything settled. But halftime, what was your reaction to the game so far, Michelle? What did you love? What were the things that you were like, yeah, cool, this is what we wanted to see right now?
I think there was a lot of things to enjoy about that first half. I think, obviously the goals. I mean, you can never be angry when your team scores a goal. And I think for the most part, the way that the goals came were really nice. And I think there was a lot of good build-up play. For the most part, some of the goals were pretty scrappy. And this is, a lot of the goals that were inside the box came from a very like ugly sort of situation where it was like crossed into the box and there was, an initial save by the keeper, but the keeper couldn't clear it out properly. And then there was just like 17 defenders in the box and, you've got everyone and their dog in there and, it was very messy. And I think some of those kind of goals, kind of like Caitlin Torpey's goal, hers kind of came from just a bit of a scrap in there and then defenders kind of just on either side of her, not really, pressing, and she was able to take a hot second and just kind of place it in there, which was great. But yeah, I mean, do you guys want to know how many shots we took?
I'm cheating. I've got Opta
Okay.
Jason up.
I'm very curious. I don't have anything in front of me.
We took 42 shots. Okay, not in total, in the whole game. 42 shots. Although only 20 on target, which I mean is, half of your shots you take are on target. I think we can do better. I mean, for them, they had 100% accuracy on their shots. They had one shot and one on target. So,
and look, it was a cracking save by Maka as well. To be fair, like that was it could have definitely been a goal, that one.
Low key, I wanted them to score a goal. I was like, go on, score a goal. But yeah, I think overall it was like a good game, and it was I guess a good performance, but only so much that you can take when this team is playing in front of 55,000 in Australia and has all the backing in the world, whereas Uzbekistan had 2,000 people in their stadium. So very, very different situations.
I mean, and 34 degrees the entire time of the game, definitely it looked like it wore those Uzbekistani players out very quickly. They got to 70 minutes and it looked like they were dead on their feet, some of them, unfortunately. Codes, 2 maiden goals as well in this game. Amy Sayer gets off the mark. Torpey gets off the mark. You mentioned Sayer being that kind of coming into that out-and-out 9 role. How much does that help her looking forward to cement her role?
It's interesting because, sorry, she's a very good midfielder, don't get me wrong, and that's where she's been playing in Sweden. From what I've seen of her between her time in Australia, even at youth level, she's always been midfielder 10 kind of player. If she can come in and actually play a number 9 as an out-and-out number 9, not the way that someone like Van Egmond or Logarza would fill the role, it's going to be a good string to a bow because it's an area that we lack. The goal she scored on last night, sorry. Well, not last night by the time people hear this, but Wednesday night. It's a well-taken goal. She had a few chances as well where she could have maybe even got a couple more. I was really, really glad she got one in the end because she was getting herself in good positions, had a few chances, And frankly, she's been in the side for a while, and I've been kind of waiting for this moment for her. So, in terms of that, absolutely fantastic, but it's a positive for the Matildas as well. The more we can build depth in that area and people that can actually play the role the way we kind of need it to in our system, 100% is a positive. So it's good to see her get off the mark. Hopefully, it's a bit more confidence going forward as well. She can do it against some bigger sides. When we play Mexico, it'll be interesting to see how some of these players step up to a bit of a different challenge. And Caitlin Torpey, absolutely fantastic. Someone who, I don't know if I even said this, like I was a little bit surprised that she came into the side. And to be fair, I was thinking, oh yeah, she'd make a good left back, and she's turned out to be a pretty decent winger. So I'm curious to see what San Diego Wave do with her, if she plays more as a winger or as a fullback, because she does seem like one of those players that was a natural winger that came into senior football and they went, okay, yeah, we're just going to chuck your fullback because we've got better wingers or senior wingers that are going to take that spot and you're not going to get game time ahead of them. Maybe she's a better winger technically and we just haven't seen enough of her in that area. So this could be her making a new name for herself too.
Yeah, I think another observation, we saw how much Ellie ran in that first game up that right side. Having Torpy do a lot of that, Ellie didn't press as high up as she did in that first game either. It was very much a little more maintained. So very interesting, the differences between her and Razzo. She does definitely look a lot more comfortable on that right side as opposed to the left where Ford plays, and just looked a little more cohesive all the way through. Speaking of Ford, really good. She was amazing on the left side. A couple of good runs that off the chest, pass back to Heyman that set up one of the goals through the center was really awesome. But yeah, all in all, looked like a really solid game. Tony's figured out how to use substitutions, guys. And this was a pretty hot topic when we're up 12 goals on aggregate. What were your reactions to these substitutions? Yallop comes on. EVE comes on. Grant comes on later. Let me see if I can remember who else came on. Razzo came on, and Amy Sayer as well. Disappointed not to see Lagazo, for one. I think that was probably the prime opportunity for her to get a run. If you're going to take a midfielder off, give someone a run. Yallop played in the first game. Pretty much everybody else had a run that was on the bench, minus those two reserve goalkeepers. What were your reactions to these subs, Michelle? Take it away. And do you think they were the right choices? Obviously, some of them ended up with goals under their boots, but yeah. What do you think?
I was a bit frustrated. I won't lie. I think some of the substitutions I think were needed. I know, everyone probably wanted Michelle Heyman to stay on the field, but I think that first 45 was a great performance by her, but I also think that she's probably looking to play this weekend. I'm not sure if they have a game this weekend. I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure she's wanting to at least play at least the second half of that game. So just a lot of load management in that one, which I can completely understand. I think Tamika Yallop so there was how many? 4 substitutions at halftime. I think Hayley Rasso in for Ellie Carpenter. Interesting. Not sure.
I think that might have been a way for them to maybe throw Torpy a little further back.
I think so.
It was more like a tester to see how she would fit in the rest of.
And I think
that
for Ellie as well, this is kind of what I've been saying a lot of. Ellie has played. So during the World Cup, I was really frustrated because she was playing all those games, 90 minutes in and out, and just not getting any rest and not playing that much club football at Lyon in the lead up to the World Cup. So it's good to see that she's been playing a lot of football at Lyon, and Tony is now like, okay, we're up 8-0. You can chill out and have a break. And I think that's really important. I think for me, really the only one that I didn't like was Emily Van Egmond on for Mini. I think if you're going to switch out a mid for a mid, Emily Van Egmond is not your player. And I think maybe it's harsh to say, but these last few performances, she's just not been, I guess, the player that we need in that squad. And I think, it's one. I don't really think that she was very creative on the field either, and like she was playing in more of a natural position, so she did look a lot better than she did in the first game. But
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I would have loved to have seen Chloe play. Is basically what I'm trying to say. I think Chloe deserves a run. I think, she was she's been playing great at Western United. She has been playing a lot deeper at Western United, so maybe that's why. And he was probably like, "No, we want more goals. Set more people up," which is fine. But I wouldn't necessarily put Emily Van Egmond in for that sort of position. I think there was something else I was going to say as well, but yeah, basically, I just don't think Emily Van Egmond is the player for us in that role. I don't know who steps into that role. I think Rasso is struggling a bit. I don't know whether that's because of lack of game time at Madrid. Um, but yeah, I mean, she had a few shots on goal, or crosses put in, and just nothing really went for her. And obviously, she got that goal in the end. But yeah, I just I worry about her game time at Madrid and how much that affects her Matilda's play.
Yeah. And just like we're nitpicking here, guys. Like it's one of those things that to a 10-0 victory, we've got to find ways to improve. Because at the end of the day, we're not going to come up against Uzbekistan style teams in Paris. We're going to be up against your Spains and your Frances who are going to take us the full 90 plus and get a result. It just looks like her touch is just like a little bit off. Like there were a few times she tried to kind of be a little bit creative on that sideline, and that first touch just wasn't there. And that once she was running, she was fine, but that first little spark that we saw during the World Cup and everybody like fell in love with just felt a little dull, which probably comes down to the lack of minutes at Real Madrid, which I don't think a lot of people, by the conversations I was having in the Matilda support group during the game, not a lot of people don't realize that she's not playing a ton of minutes at Real Madrid right now. Yes, she's playing in Spain, but she's coming off the bench and not playing full 90s or at least full halves and things like that.
Also, like
Cody,
just on that quickly, like I think people don't understand that Real Madrid and the women's team is not top tier. Like they're good, but
Yeah.
they came last in their Champions League group, so that it's not like they are, a world class team. They will get to a good level soon enough with more investment, but they're not Barcelona.
Yeah, and it's not just because it's Real Madrid doesn't mean it's the same stature that the men's team is currently at either. It's two different uh, styles of play and qualities as well at the moment in Madrid. Cody, looking at the game as a whole, what are things you think we could improve on? I know, as I said, we're definitely nitpicking here, but we've got to look for those ways. If we want to be competing for a medal, we can't rest on a 10-0 victory and go, cool, we're ready. Because that coming out of Asia, especially against that, I think Japan only won 1-0 over North Korea across aggregate. For us to score 13 says probably the quality of opponent we're up against. Where do you stand on things we could potentially improve on? Looking forward to the next couple of games.
This is probably the wrong game to ask after it. Where you go into a game where you are severely superior to the opponent that you're playing against. I was banging the drum that we are a lot better than this team for a while, and I know to a certain extent it may have sounded arrogant. There's a reason why I was hyping us up the way that I was, because it was genuine. We were genuinely going to be that much better than them. The 2 games played out the exact way that I expected it to. We grind a win over there, we come here, and we blow them out of the park. It was, look, I don't want to sound arrogant, it's always going to happen that way. I don't know if I expected 10-0, but it was going to happen. If you're talking about improvement, what do you say out of this game that go, oh, we didn't do this, that, and this right? Most of the mistakes or poor areas of performance that came out of this game was in the second half. We lost a bit of concentration because we were 8-0 up. You go out, you're a bit lackluster. It's like, oh yeah, we've won this game already. Let's just go and see it out. Uzbekistan are in damage control. doing everything they can to shut us down, it's a situation that isn't going to exactly foster a lot of, let's say, exciting attacking plays. You talk about, even you look at Hayley Raso's performance, a lot of it, I think, you talk about the lack of minutes. That's obviously an issue, but she seems like she's lacking confidence as well. In the first game, even from what I could see, she was getting frustrated every 2 seconds. This game as well, she was making good runs. She was getting herself in good areas. She was lacking a final product, and you could see it was bothering her. So there's maybe a few mental things that you can talk about, making sure your concentration's high, making sure you're actually trying to see a game out full 90, making sure you're at the top of your game for a full 90. But this wasn't a game that was set up for that anyway. These results always happen where you blow a team out of the park in the first half. You go in the second half, and it's like, oh yeah, we'll just get 1 or 2 more for a good measure. It's never going to be the same. It's so, in terms of what we can improve, I genuinely don't know, and I don't say that because we're perfect. I say that because this isn't like what you see how the Matildas play in this game. We'll go to a game against France, Germany, Spain, and it'll look completely different. You'll see holes in our team. You'll see areas that we do need to improve on. But a game like this, it's harder for those things to kind of come to the surface. Yeah. I can talk maybe from a general point of view where I think we could improve, and even then I'm struggling to come to.
But also, it's like we're playing a team that is so far lower than us in rankings and investment and stuff like that, where sometimes you regress in your like performance because you're playing.
That's what I mean by what happened in the second half. We were up 8-0. Of course, we weren't going to come out the same way. You don't need to, really.
I also think they improved in the second half. To be fair to them,
yeah,
and
100%.
when they got their new goalie in, I think she, I think she made some really good saves. The first one.
I was going to say, that first mistake she made, I was like, oh, this is
girl,
good.
Please.
that was straight nerves.
Especially because she came out so fired up and she was so ready to go. We were joking, the people I was watching, we were joking, saying that like she was actually the starting goalkeeper and she's lost her spot. And so she's like fired up, ready to claim her spot back. But yeah, I think she did a good job, to be fair. And I think, the second half was a lot less creative, and I don't know, maybe they felt bad about the scoreline, but
just on Uzbekistan as well. Do you guys actually know how they ended up in that position they were playing against us?
No, they must have won something.
So, well, yeah, obviously they were best second place team in the second round. That only really occurred because of 3 things. One, they hosted the group that they were in, so they had Japan and Vietnam, and I can't remember who the last team was, but it was someone that ended up finishing with 0 points anyway, so quite irrelevant. But they got to play all 3 games at home. They had a decent game against Japan where they only lost 2-0, and clearly at home they're in conditions that are much more suited to them. And because of that, they beat Vietnam. So Vietnam was out of the equation because they finished 3rd. They were on 6 points, half decent goal difference. South Korea draws with China. Well, they essentially draw with each other, so they both finish less than 6 points. 2 sides that would have given us more of a challenge, knocked out there. Philippines finished on 6 points, but because Australia smacked them 8-0, their goal difference is worse than Uzbekistan's. So, in a way, there's a little bit of luck to how they end up in that position.
That's so
They
funny.
got lucky not lucky that they were hosting, but it was obviously played into their hands a lot more. They got lucky that neither China or South Korea could get over the top of each other, and they're lucky that Sam Kerr kind of went ham with Philippines.
Oh my God.
That's insane.
Insane.
Football, right? It's magic. One thing I did love seeing at the game was the purple jerseys. The goalkeepers' jerseys got released the morning of the game, sold out within 5 minutes. Absolute mayhem everywhere they were. But it was really cool to see that throughout the crowd, and everyone looked really keen to have them. Fingers crossed we can get more out there because that would be really cool to see.
I'll tell you what's crazy about that. Mackenzie Arnold's probably not in like our top 2, maybe not even our top 3 goalkeepers for the Matildas of all time. But what she did at the World Cup is what's kind of spurred on this movement of, I want a goalkeeper jersey. I want to look like Mackenzie Arnold. So even though she's, maybe Lydia Williams had a better career than her, Melissa Barbieri's had a better career than her, but it's still Mackenzie Arnold who's had so many shaky moments for the Matildas that has been able to make that impact. I don't know what you guys think, but I like that. I think that's cool.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a catalyst of a movement, right? Like the same thing's happening with Mary Earps right now in the UK. Like it's that thing.
But you look at Mary Earps, and look, I can't say I'm familiar with historical English female players. She probably is England's best goalkeeper of all time.
I wouldn't say that. I don't think I would say.
I wouldn't say that either.
Do you know who's above her?
Well, the previous goalkeeper, KB, was the starting
Look, my knowledge-
goalkeeper, and she was.
Yeah, my knowledge doesn't go that far back.
She was pretty solid. She's retired. She had to retire, but
Yeah.
she was. I reckon she's still a better goalkeeper than Mary Earps.
Well, that's fair enough. I genuinely didn't know that. That's knowledge gap in my brain.
Fake.
But yeah, I think it's just one of those things that just it's kind of where women's football is at right now, right? We went to the biggest stage of the game in its history right now, and Mackenzie Arnold step up and did the heroics during that shootout that kind of made that catalyst for her to be front and center.
Well, yeah, you're presented with a moment like that. You step up the way you do. She may not be the Matildas' #1 goalkeeper of all time, but that's probably the #1 moment from a Matildas keeper that we have ever seen.
It's also the same with Socceroos, right? Andrew Redmayne making that one save to pretty much let the Socceroos
He's played
go through.
3 games for the Socceroos.
Literally, like sometimes it's not always the best keeper, but sometimes they do create, like you said, like the best memories and the best moments.
I'd put it in another, because look, Andrew Redmayne's not. You wouldn't consider him a Socceroos legend or anything.
No.
It's just like it is genuinely one moment. But let's just say John Aloisi. He was never really a starting player in the Socceroos or anything. Like, he was never going to be ahead of Mark Viduka or anything like that. But people put him in legend status and as one of our top players ever, because he's considered as a legend of the Socceroos because he scored that one penalty that sent us to the World Cup in 2006.
Definitely.
So that's kind of what I'm saying.
Definitely. I think Mackenzie Arnold she's still, like, I mean, she just turned 30, so, and goalkeepers tend to have a longer career than most players, I'd say. But yeah, I mean, I think the goalkeeper shirts thing is awesome, and it's been a long time coming, considering people have been asking for these shirts for decades, and it sucks that, there are so many people who missed out. It sucks that, whoever was at fault with this sort of situation, didn't understand the reach, and I guess the demand for the shirts. Although I will say this, the purple shirt is the ugliest one. I did buy one. It's the ugliest one. The black and the pink one are 20 times better. I want that pink shirt so bad. Did you cop one?
To be fair, I didn't get one. No, I need to save my money, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it's probably not down to one person either. It is probably just a construct of a historically patriarchal society. That's why we weren't getting assault. So,
yeah, well.
I'd say, what can you do? But you can change the system. That's probably the best response you can give to that.
But yeah, I think overall, like, cool stuff to see. I did get Wyman on the back of my shirt.
I still wanted to make her debut. You want to talk about subs? That's one sub I wanted to see.
Yeah, see, this is what I will say. I want to see her make her debut in Sydney. I don't want it to be in, like, Melbourne.
That's just because you're selfish and you want to see it.
Exactly. 100%. I've never denied it, Cody. I've never denied it.
Well, Lagazzo not returning then. At least that's not something that Melbourne got instead of Sydney.
Yeah, well, I don't think Melbourne deserves the love. Jokes.
All right, so let's look ahead to Paris. I'm well excited now that we can actually safely start planning for this, because we have booked our ticket. We are going. We know that for certain. What do you reckon our realistic expectations are of what we can achieve here? There was a lot of talk about medals last night on the commentary. Is that the minimum standard here, Michelle?
To get a medal? Absolutely. Abso-bloody-lutely. I think the last Olympics, I believe it was USA that we lost in the third, in the bronze medal match, and we just looked really flat in that game. Like, all the energy had just been sucked out of us, and it was quite rough to watch. It wasn't the best game, and which sucks because like that tournament was really fun and entertaining. And I think we were playing a brand of football that was obviously the start of the Tony era and what he was trying to produce. So, yeah, bare minimum is a bronze medal. I think that is the aim, is bare minimum. Obviously, the idea is to go out there and grab a gold, and that would be absolutely insane. It'll be tough. It'll be very, very difficult, especially with no Sam Kerr. But yeah, bare minimum bronze medal.
100%. Cody, if it comes down to us and Spain in the final, what do you think the outcome is? I'm going to put a hyper.
Who are you supporting?
Oh, I'm supporting Australia. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I love Spain, but when it's Australia playing against them, it's fuck Spain. Let's be real. But look, I'm going through the list of the teams now at the Olympics. There's obviously the only two that haven't been in it, or not announced, confirmed yet, are the two African sides. There's no African side that scares me, even an ounce. None of the South American sides are overly concerning to me. I reckon we're better than Brazil, Colombia. I still reckon we're better than Canada. I reckon we're better than the US. We're better than New Zealand. I'd even go as far to say we're better than Germany. The only two teams that kind of worry me are France and Spain. We play Spain in a final. I can accept not getting gold. I think I'd probably say that much. Spain will come out. They'll want to set the dominance. We'll be playing a lot of football without the ball, but then again, it could also be the kind of match that suits us. I don't think we get blown out of the park. I don't even think Spain hold a clean sheet against us. In terms of how it plays out overall, though, I wouldn't be surprised if Spain just edge us. Maybe a 3-1, 4-2. There'll be goals in it. I think that'll be exciting for a neutral. But we do well to beat them, I'll say that much.
100%. So, for those of you that don't know how the Olympics works, we're going to try and explain it. I'm going to create a graphic and it's going to be up on our socials that'll hopefully make this sound a lot easier when you look at it on paper. So, essentially, 12 teams, 3 groups go in. So, 4 teams in each of the 3 groups. And what this does is then creates a can't play against certain confederations kind of style of game. So France will get the number 1 slot in Group 1 as the hosts. So they automatically, in pot 1, as the hosts. Spain and the US will also draw those points. I have just lost power again. Just give me 2 seconds just while I pull this up on my phone, guys. We are working in the middle of a storm. That's how much we love you. Please stand by while I make sure I've got all my facts right. So in pot 1, we've got France, Spain, and the US. So they're kind of the 2 of the top rated teams. I think actually France is the 3rd highest ranking, so they would have been probably in pot 1 anyway, which is understandable. In pot 2, we're going to have Germany, who have just beaten the Netherlands overnight, Japan, and Canada. Japan edge us out into pot 2 as the higher ranked side at the moment. Rankings do update on the 15th. The draw is done on the 20th, but we will not jump Japan just due to the strength of the matchup we had. They had North Korea, so there's no way we physically jump 3 spots to get above them. So that definitely won't happen. So Germany, Japan, and Canada in pot 2. Brazil, us, and Colombia are in pot 3. And then NZ and the 2 African teams in pot 4. So how this works is we go through a draw and they just pull balls out of a pot, essentially put them all into groups. 2 nations from the same confederation, being the Asia, America, Oceania, on and on, can't be in the same group during the Olympics. So it means we can't be in the same group as Japan. So if we get drawn to go into a slot with Japan, we would be moved to the next available group that we can go into. So exciting times. This will happen in 3 weeks from now, and we're going to have a special episode for the group announcements. We've even got a special guest confirmed to come on with that, which we will announce in later date. is there any group makeup here that you kind of would worry about our potential progression out of here? If we ended up with, if you look at those top 2 pots with France, Spain, USA in 1, Germany, Japan, and Canada in 2, is there any makeup out of those? I'm not worried about pot 4. I think we can beat anyone in pot 4. But is there any way you see us kind of struggling to get out of groups if we've had 2 certain teams kind of in our group that would give us a run? Cody.
I don't see it. Can you go through the pot 2 teams with me again? You got
Germany,
what?
Japan, Canada.
Well, we can't play Japan.
Yeah, so we can't play Japan. So
it's
Germany,
only
and
Germany
Canada.
or Canada. Neither of them worry me.
Yep.
So I reckon we're set.
Michelle?
You're so optimistic, Cody. Oh my god.
Some people call it optimistic. Some people call it
Arrogance.
extreme arrogance.
I call it delusional.
You know what? It's better than the arrogance.
I'm guessing you have a
It's a
pretty
bit
strong
nicer.
opinion on this one, Michelle, then.
Not necessarily. I just think that these teams are. I think they look a lot stronger than maybe we than what we're seeing.
Yeah.
I think, it's. I think Germany might be the one where it's, that we could beat them, and that's purely because the way that they played in the World
Yeah.
Cup was just, below average, and it just wasn't good.
I think that's the thing that
they couldn't score against South Korea, was it?
I think that's the thing that worries me about them and the USA is that they're coming off atrocious World Cups by their standards. So they're at the next big international tournament with kind of a chip on their shoulder almost.
And USA also just lost to
Mexico,
Mexico 2-0 in the
Gold Cup.
Gold Cup.
Yeah, so
Copa Oro.
very, very interesting things happening around the world. Obviously, no Netherlands, no Sweden, no Great Britain, which is huge. Going off that, we're going to go into a little speculation. We're going to put our coaching hats on. We asked you guys on Instagram and Facebook to submit your 18, who you think your squad would be that you would take. All 3 of us have created our squads that we think we would take. Michelle, you've got yours in front of you, so I'm going to start with you. Actually, let's go through positions because I think this is probably a good way for us to build it. Michelle, who are your goalkeepers that you're taking?
Okay. My goalkeepers that I'm taking, and this may be,
Actually, it's
unpopular
probably
decision.
a good thing to preface. Tony did say in a interview, guys, that he's taking 2 goalkeepers, 2 central defenders, 3 central defenders, 3 fullbacks, 3 wingers, 3 forwards, 3 midfielders, and a utility player. So that's what we're basing our squads off right now. So your goalkeepers, Michelle?
My goalkeepers in starting position, I have Mackenzie Arnold. And in substitution position, bench position, I have Jada Wyman.
I knew you were going to go different. Cody, I'm guessing you've probably got Arnold there as well. Are you Team Wyman or Team Micah?
Team Micah.
Yeah.
You guys have heard me on the pod. I am a very, very big fan of Charter Wyman. Definitely not
Number one
someone I'm going
fangirl,
to
some would say.
disrespect. But no, but I still think Micah's a fantastic keeper. As a number 2, a little bit more experience. I do want to see Jada Wyman get a debut eventually, though. Like, this girl's been in and out of the squad for the last 5 years. Just give her a game, man. I want to see how she goes at Matilda's level.
The only reason why I've got Jada in there over Tegan Micah, because I was tossing them up, is purely because Jada Wyman has been playing a lot more frequently than Tegan Micah has. And obviously it's different with goalkeepers, but that was purely like what edged her out.
Yeah, that is understandable. I had that same reasoning for some of my other selections through the rest of the team. Let's jump to that centre-back position now.
Who are your goalkeepers?
My goalkeepers are Arnold and Micah. Sorry. Yeah, I've gone Team Micah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's go to centre-backs. We've got 3 here. I've gone Hunt, Kennedy, and Lewick as my 3. Just because I believe that I'm not taking Polkinghorne. We saw her got run over in the World Cup, but I don't think there's anyone like. Obviously, we've got time. We've got 6 months between now, but I don't see anyone at that level to jump in right now to fill that slot. So yeah, that's why I've gone Avi. Michelle.
I went Claire Hunt from Paris Saint-Germain. I've gone with Manchester City's Alana Kennedy. And I've gone with everyone's favorite Queenslander, Claire Polkinghorne. Mostly because I trust Polks more than I do Lewick. And that's not to say Lewick's a bad player. I think she's a great player. I just have not watched her play all that much, to be honest.
Codes.
I think we're looking very similar, Josh. I've got the same centre backs as you, Hunt, Kennedy, and Ivy Lewick. To be fair, I haven't actually got Polkinghorne anywhere near this squad. I listed down a few players that I think could come into the side should they need to if anyone's got any injuries. I'd have probably Winona Heatley, Matilda McNamara, and Charlotte McLean before I'd pick Claire Polkinghorne. I think she's dropping
You're just
herself.
a hater.
I'm not a hater. I just think she's at a point.
Hater.
If she came to the A-League tomorrow, I'd be excited as anything. Fantastic. It'd be great for the league. It'd be great to see her up in person. But we've got a good pool of centre-backs now. I don't think we need to rely on her. I think, look, she's probably past being a out-and-out Matildas player. We've got other options. I know Evie looks a little bit older, but she's still... It's like a fine wine. She's aging very, very well. She's playing Champions League football. She's playing well. She's good with the ball at her feet. Probably doesn't have that little bit of pace, but she seems to be a bit more intelligent in her older years. Yeah. So that's where my reasoning is.
It'll be interesting to see when they start bringing in new centre backs,
and
I think they need to start doing that soon.
That's the Mexico game. I wouldn't bother bringing Lewick or Polkinghorne into it. Give one of those other centre backs that I named to go.
Yeah,
to see something
100%.
different. See if there's someone else that can push onto it.
And
definitely,
just on the outskirts of this 18, there are 4 other people that do get named as injury replacements for the Olympics. So one has to be a goalkeeper, and then you've got 3 other people that do get named. So there's a chance that we'd see some of these outliers in that 4 provisional that will still travel to Paris in case of an injury. All right, let's go to our fullbacks. I think we've probably got the same 3 here. I'd be very surprised if we do have a difference here. Catley, Carpenter, Grant are my 3. Michelle, nodding along.
Yes, I have Arsenal and rightful Matildas captain, Steph Catley, coming in second to that on the list that I have written down in no particular number order. Everyone's favorite person to keep the clean sheet, Ellie Carpenter. And unfortunately, she plays for Spurs, but that doesn't matter because she's Charlie Grant.
We are paying Michelle extra for this episode, guys, just so you're aware. Cody, I'm guessing you've got the same 3 as well. I'd be surprised if you went another direction.
Yeah, do I need to even go through it? It's literally the same people.
All right. Now, the midfield is probably where we're going to split up. A lot of you that submitted your squads to us, there is probably a name in this or the forwards that you all had that we definitely will not have near our squad. You've heard us talking about it a million times. But my midfielders are Gorry, Cooney Cross, and I've got Lagazo in there as well. Michelle did change my last minute mind because I actually think that given the season, I think she's going to be in a better spot ahead of Tamika Yallop. Kind of form-wise to carry on through. So that's why I've gone Lagazo ahead of Yallop in the mids. Michelle?
Yeah, I've got from Sydney to Western United, breaking Michelle Morris's heart, it's Chloe Lagazo. From breaking Michelle Morris's heart at Melbourne Victory and then going to Arsenal and leaving her confused, it's Kyra Cooney Cross. And my other midfield that I've chosen is everyone's favorite mother, Katrina Gorry. Yeah, I went with Chloe. Just, I think she's solid. I love Meeks, and I really think that she's such a good player. But this season, like, she's only really turned up the second half of the season. we were joking around in a group chat saying that she remembered that she needs to play well to get into the Matilda squad. And yeah, she kind of had been involved in a number of like goal scoring opportunities. So I do think that there is a spot for Tamika Yalp to still go as maybe an injury replacement or something. I do think that her leadership is what's needed in that squad. I do think Chloe just is perhaps in better form.
Cody.
Okay, I've got Gori in KCC as well. I've got another name that I've actually put in my team that hasn't been mentioned at all yet.
Interesting. Take it away.
Get ready to boo.
Claire Wheeler.
Oh, we're not booing for
Yeah,
that
okay.
one. We love this one. We love Claire Wheeler.
I'm surprised neither of you's brought her up even as like a potential option.
I would say that she'd be on like my list for like an extended squad.
Look, I look at our top three midfielders. Tamika, inconsistent. I brought out Chloe Lagazo. Probably, look, I think it's just more the fact that we haven't seen her in a Matilda squad recently. But Claire Wheeler as well. She's playing one of the best leagues in the world. She's one of Everton's more consistent players. As the season's gone on, she's been getting more game time in a natural position. It's a player that I don't think you can kind of drop, even though Tony almost criminally underuses her. She's someone I would have liked to have seen come on.
Yeah.
On
if we're
Wednesday.
using the argument that we can't choose Chloe because we haven't seen her Matilda shirt recently. I mean, Claire Wheeler is in the exact same position.
To be fair, I know. Like, it's probably not the best way to word it. I just think, I think I'd put Claire Wheeler above Lagazo.
Interesting, and that's why we're having discussions.
Claire is a much more creative player than Chloe, I think.
I think she's got two strings to her, but I reckon she can do the dirty work in a six as well.
Oh, definitely,
Yeah.
100%.
There's versatility there.
It's okay
That's
to
good
have
for a
an
shortened
opinion,
squad.
Cody.
Oh, I'm gonna put her in as my
utility.
I'm gonna put her in
There
the
you
squad.
go.
She's gonna be my
she had a question
utility
mark.
player.
She had a question mark.
That's why you left one spot free, eh?
Yeah.
It's
use the old noggin.
It's all right to have an opinion, Cody. Even sometimes when it's wrong, it's okay.
But was I wrong?
No, you weren't. You were wrong.
No.
But I'm not changing my
I
score.
may not have been right, but I wasn't wrong.
All right, let's head out wide. Now these are, I think the wings and the forwards are ones that we've kind of got interchangeable depending on how we see them play. So you're probably going to see some names that I have that Michelle might have as forward, XYZ. Not going to change it. It's okay. I've got Ford, Razzo, and Vine as my wingers. I think if Courtney is fit is probably the biggest thing. If she kind of bounces back to the form and she's not got those niggling injuries, I think she's a shoe-in. But yeah, that would be my three out wide. Michelle?
Yeah, so I've gone with Rasso, Vine, and Torpy. I think, Caitlin's made a name for herself in this, these last games, and I think she's good enough to come in.
Good.
And also, yes, same with Vine. It kind of sucks because obviously she's pulled out of this tournament. She was injured during the other tournament, like the one in Perth. So yeah, if she stays fit, then I think she's maybe not necessarily a shoe-in, but an option.
Yeah, I got Ford, Rasso, and Vine as well. Pretty basic. Two options that I've kind of put in there though. If let's just say someone does get injured, Daniela Galic and Princess Abini. If someone's got to come out, maybe Caitlin Torpy would be a little bit ahead of him as well. But I wouldn't be surprised. Like, let's just say we have a few injuries. I'd actually back either of them to come into the squad. It wouldn't be my first picks.
I wouldn't back Princess Abini to come in.
Really?
No.
So, she's someone I'm quite big on. I actually think she can do a job at Matilda's level. I think she's a bit underrated.
She underperforms like consistently and doesn't run, and has now missed 2 penalties. Has had 2 penalties saved, I should say.
I mean, Sam Kerr misses penalties all the time. We don't hold that against
Sam
her.
Kerr is terrible at penalties. But no, I don't personally like watching Princess play. She just gives off this vibe that she doesn't want to be as like high level anyway. Like, I think she's really happy at just playing at an A-League level, which is fine. Like, she doesn't need to, do anything crazy. But I think she's too inconsistent in her form throughout the game.
I mean, if I had to pick between the two, I'd probably still lean towards Daniela Galic anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, she was brought in as that train-on squad player, so potentially we'll see it. Heading up front, now, is it safe to say that we've found our replacement for Sam Kerr and Michelle Heyman? Not a direct replacement, but that solid upfront person that
We found another number 9.
exactly, yeah,
that can score goals.
I'm pretty sure Michelle Heyman played years ago because Sam Kerr got injured. So it's just history repeating itself.
I've got Fowler, Heyman, and Amy Sayer up front. Cody.
I have the same.
Let's go. Let's go. We didn't talk about this, I promise. Michelle.
Well, I put Ford in as a forward. So I put Heyman, Ford, and Fowler.
Yeah. And then you've got Torpy as your winger. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Now, utility. For anyone that doesn't understand how a utility player works, it's someone that can play multiple positions up and down the field. Claire Wheeler, Cody?
See, I've looked at it in a sense of what's the squad lacking.
Let me have a look at how
we probably need a bit of extra of. I don't think there's enough centre mids in there, so I've gone with someone that can play multiple roles in the middle of the park. So I've gone with Emily Van Egmond.
Sorry, just pause for dramatic effect. Okay, that's fair. This is where I put Caitlin Torpy because she can play pretty much up and down the park. So I think watching her last night, I think that as soon as I heard the word utility, my mind went there, and I was like, cool, that's her role to pretty much lose at this point. Michelle?
I'll put Claire Wheeler.
Oh, yeah, we said that.
She's yelled it 3 times already.
Look.
Yeah.
Get the wheels on the bus and go round and round.
I had no one before, so you guys are lucky. Thanks, Cody.
Very interesting. So that is our 18s. Very similar, purely because we do share a hive mind at some points, but also different opinions, because that's the best thing about being a fan in football, is that you can have differing opinions and still be correct.
Unless you disagree with Michelle.
Coming to get you.
So, let's have a look forward. If I can reboot my computer, give me 2 seconds. A lot of games in a short period of time. If you look at your squad, do you have the fitness to play? I think it was 3 games in 5 days or something like that. Like, there's a ridiculously quick turnaround. I think it's 3 games in 6 days. I think there's a day off in between or something. And then there's 2 games before the final bracket kind of starts.
If it's worked the same way as it did in Japan, essentially they have all the women's on one day, all the men's on the other, and then a rest day.
Yeah. So I think it's day on, day off, day on, day off, and they're your 3 group games. And then I think there's 2 days off into... Is it straight into semis? Or is there quarters still?
There's quarters.
Quarters, and then 2 days off semis, and then final from there. I may be completely wrong, but that's what I'm saying. Do we have the squad depth in what you've just named to play that many games in a short period of time?
Yes, as long as we actually rotate them.
Yeah, agreed.
And hey, we've seen Tony use substitutes. Did he use them correctly? Question mark. But someone tapped him on the shoulder and going, hey, there's this thing you can do where it brings other people on, and it actually helps us, which is crazy. So hopefully we keep that up. We are going to look ahead quickly to what is coming up, because the A-League has returned in a quick turnaround. Is there anything around the Matildas or the Olympics, guys, that you want to mention that we haven't touched on already? Is there anything we've missed? This is your open mic international moment.
Good job, Matilda's active.
Hey-o.
We could hear you through the coverage. And yay.
It's honestly so hard sometimes to remember that you're a part of active support sometimes, Michelle. It's like you just don't give off that party vibe all the time like some capos do. And I love you for it. I honestly do.
Clearly you've never seen me at a game.
I have. I've stood next to you a game. I've literally sung with you at a game as I was supporting an opposite
that
team.
Was a game with no drum, with no people around.
And I still respect you for it.
It's not a real game.
Should have seen her in Brisbane, Josh.
One day.
Should have seen me at Brisbane.
I didn't even
Oh,
know you guys
those are the
then.
days.
Okay? Did not even know you guys then. Did not meet you until after the World Cup. And here we are.
That was
6
fun.
months later. Talking to each other weekly. Cody,
Oh, Brisbane.
you're open, Mike. Anything we've missed? Anything you want to say?
Not really, actually. I don't have much to add. I've just been enjoying the past week for what it is.
Let's go. International football. Hoorah. All right. We have a quick turnaround. Western United, Canberra. Surely they don't play in Melbourne, do they? Is that right?
Yeah.
Crazy. All right. City Vista Recreation Reserve Pitch 1 is where they're playing at 4:30 on a Friday. Early kickoffs. Let's go. Second game, Brisbane Roar, Melbourne City. Western United. We got double derby this weekend, don't we? Men's and women's.
What?
Is it double derby this weekend?
Yeah.
Yep. So Western United hosts Sydney. Victory play home to Wellington. Central Coast against Adelaide, and Newey Jets in Maitland, which could be a very hot one this weekend against Perth. So I would not be surprised if that gets moved to number 1 or number 2 or whatever one they play at this weekend in Newey. Any games we're looking forward to this weekend, folks? Obviously, Derby Day for you, Michelle, in the Sky Blue. Is there anything else around the league that you're keeping an eye on as well?
Not really.
Not really? Cody?
Just the derby.
What team are you supporting this weekend? Your home team or your fake team that you think you support?
I am an Adelaide fan. It'll be interesting to see how they go against the Mariners.
Born and raised.
Yeah, maybe not that far. But no, look, I don't think anything's beaten the derby this weekend. I'm very, very keen for that.
Yeah, I am pumped up. Obviously, finals positions on the line as we head into the back end of the season, folks. If you're new here, make sure you say hi. We are on social medias at Talkin' Tillies. You will find all of us across all platforms, mostly. We are not active on some yet. We will get there, I promise. Definitely more towards the Olympics than right now. We're still gearing up for our big season. But next week we will be back with our regularly scheduled programming as we look towards all things home and abroad. And we are not too far off Talking Tillies again, as the Olympic draw does happen March 21st, our time at, I think, 6 a.m. So we will jump on at some point after and talk about our group, what we can look forward to, what we're excited about. And we're going to have a special guest that we will announce on our social media. So keep an eye on that. But I think that is us. Is there anything else we need to add from footballing as a whole, folks? Anyone got any hot takes or things that we need to yell through the ear holes of people coming up?
If you have loved watching the Matildas play and you love watching live football, then I implore you to go and support your local MPL side or your local A-League side. It is fun, it's good quality, and you will enjoy it. Go support local. Don't bother getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch Arsenal win a gajillion nil to some championship side. Like, just watch local. It's a good time.
Watch local. Hashtag not sponsored. Cody.
No, just looking forward to the derby this weekend, really, and hopefully Michelle's going home a happy woman, but I have a weird hunch she may not be.
Cody's going to join
Shut
the
up,
RBB
Cody.
is what I
Hey,
heard.
how do you know I'm talking about the men's game?
Huh?
How do you know I'm talking about the men's game?
I don't care about the men's game.
Yeah,
Michelle's-
honestly,
Michelle's there
hot
for the
take.
early.
I actually think Wanderers win the women's derby this weekend.
Cody, why would you say that to me?
It's a feeling I can't shake.
Triggered.
I don't know why. It's a hunch. I have no physical evidence to support
I
my
hope
claim.
you've jinxed it.
Maybe I'm doing you a favor here.
I hope you trip over.
I don't want an angry Michelle on Monday.
That's a weird hope. It's like I hope you step in a puddle and your sock gets uncomfortably wet.
Yeah, I hope that too.
I hope you lose your left pinky toe. All right, guys.
Okay, that's a bit harsh.
I hope one windshield wiper falls off of your car.
All right. We are not wishing black cats or ladders on anybody else listening to this show this week. We'll be back next week with our regularly scheduled programming. We are back to picking on each other, guys, and we cannot wait to share another episode with you. Hooroo.